When it comes to pastures, there are so many herbicide choices now, it may get a little confusing. I like to simplify this thing, and I basically am going to talk about 4 products and really 3 different types of chemistry. We've got Tordon, we've got Milestone, and then either 2,4-D or dicamba.
So keeping things simple, we think about what weeds are out in pastures. For the most part, the comment I get most of all around the country is thistles. Now, it may be a biennial thistle, it may be a perennial thistle. When we've got that type of plant growing, we've got to have a product that gets down into the root system in order to do a great job. For many years now, Tordon has been that product. It's one that translocates down into the roots. It was a significant upgrade from products like 2,4-D that we had been using prior to that.
Okay, so talking about the 2,4-D, and really dicamba's in the same class, one of the reasons why I'm excited about using both of those in some cases is now we're going to have soybeans resistant to dicamba. Okay, so even if I have a little bit of drift out of my pasture into my soybeans, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we ever want to do that. We want to keep our products on target. But if it was to happen, we don't have to worry about it when we have dicamba soybeans. The enlist trait should be out next year, so then we'll have 2,4-D tolerant soybeans. Well, all of a sudden, you could just use dicamba or you could use 2,4-D in your pasture, not have that risk of damaging the neighboring soybean crop. The other thing is with the dicamba and the 2,4-D, they're less expensive than the Tordon and Milestone. Now, they've come up in price, so there's not nearly as much of a gap between the 2,4-D or dicamba price compared to the Tordon and Milestone price, but still, that's the big reason why people are looking at those products is they're cheap. The big thing that I'll tell you is you want to make sure your weather conditions are good, the plants are actively growing, and use a good strong rate of the dicamba or 2,4-D, because otherwise the weeds are just going to come back in another month. So well dicamba and 2,4-D aren't going to do a good job on the roots. They certainly can burn down the top growth, they can both leave a little bit of residual, and they're less expensive.
We left the best product for last. We've got Milestone. It's the best product, hands down. It works very well on virtually all types of thistles at very low rates. Oftentimes we're spraying 5 ounces, 7 ounces, and getting excellent thistle control depending on the situation and when you're out there. Now with Milestone, it does have one major weakness, at least in our geography, and that is leafy spurge control. You do have to watch out what's out there for weeds. That would be one of the weaknesses you may see.
Okay, you also might find Forefront or Grazon Next out there. That would be Milestone plus 2,4-D. Or a lot of people just use the old Grazon, that's Tordon plus 2,4-D. You can do any of those, they're fine. It's just, I don't like them that much because here's the problem. When I've got a great killer that's kind of slow and it will get all the way down through the root system like a Tordon or a Milestone, when you put 2,4-D or dicamba together with Tordon or Milestone, what's going to happen is the Tordon and the Milestone don't get the chance to get down into the root system because the 2,4-D and the dicamba work so quickly on that plant, they shut it down. Well, that's not a good thing. That's not really what we want. So let's say you got a leafy spurge patch, you got a bad thistle patch, you've got some brush out there. Just go spray the straight Tordon or maybe the straight Milestone if it's just thistles and hit it hard. I mean like a quart of Tordon or 7 ounces of Milestone, and just check the label in your area. We don't want to get you off label or anything like that. The other thing that we want you to consider here is Tordon will kill fish. It will kill trees. So if you've got trees or fish anywhere near, Tordon is absolutely not your product.
All right, one other combo product that I really like to use is called Chaparral. That has Milestone in it. It also has Ally or Cimarron in there. So it's got 2 different modes of action. Where we've seen more luck using Chaparral has been around some of the brush. But with Tordon, what I do see now is as that price has come down dramatically versus what it was 10 years ago, guys are using higher rates of Tordon, and that has really helped with the brush control as well.
All right, so again, my opinion is I'd still go with Tordon. I would never use Chaparral. That's just my personal feeling. You can certainly use Chaparral if you want to, probably be a little bit less expensive. I just think Tordon's a better product. Here's one other thing you got to know about Tordon, Milestone, the Chaparral, that even the Ally portion of the Chaparral. They have tremendously long residuals. So if you think that, hey, I might take this pasture ground out in 4 or 5 or 6 years, you're still going to have a problem. In other words, you better be planting corn or wheat if you ever do take that out, and you've had Tordon or Milestone at any point in the last decade. It can last that long in the soil. You might not have that much killing activity, but it can last that long to possibly slightly damage a future crop.
Well, many of those products are great for killing thistles, but what about our weed of the week? We'll show you what'll stop it coming up next.